missing from an early morning ship collision have been found dead.
7 U.S. Army soldiers were shot and wounded in another insider attack.
After undergoing another surgery, Congressman Steve Scalise is no longer in critical condition, but is now listed in serious condition.
We have to take this very seriously because even the founding fathers, right from the beginning, warned about the impact of political extremism, essentially, the spirit of party, they called it.
The president is spending the weekend in Camp David. It is the very first visit of his presidency.
The Republican establishment not fighting for their commander-in-chief. Why is this going on in Washington?
Because they hate Trump.
You have guys now, all they care about is maintaining that title in front of their name in re-election, and principles get thrown out the window. And they're afraid to push for the real ideas.
He's going to go out and surprise his kids for Father's Day. What do you want to say to Dad for Father's Day? He misses him so much. Aww.
The original is way better.
They're both good.
They're both good. Tom Cochran.
I'm not taking anything away from Tom, but that song is awesome.
Yeah, he wrote it.
I know.
But you know what? Listening to music, I grew up driving around with my dad listening to some of the Cranberries is one of our favorites, REM. And it's Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to everyone out there.
That's right. We've been asking you all morning. Send us at friends@foxnews.com the best advice or quip, anything that your father said that you just remember. And send us a photo, too, so we can put it up on the screen.
Yeah, and not necessarily the best photo. Send us cheesy ones. Send us funny ones. We want to see them all.
Let's kick it off with Deborah. She emailed some of the best things that my dad ever taught me were to love myself and love my country. We don't hear that enough.
Nice.
Thanks, Dad, for believing in me.
I love that. Diana emailed, my daddy was 93 when he passed, and the best advice he gave was to not wish my life away. Live in the present moment. We all need to hear that today.
Yeah, we'll get that one queued up eventually. And then Brian emailed, my dad told me to always do the right thing. Sound, simple, straightforward advice. There it is. So
keep sending them in.
Yes, and can I do it? Ready? Are you ready? Please send them into friends@foxnews.com.
You still have to look down, Todd.
I did. I got it right. 1 for 2. I'm batting 500.
Caught up to
I'm in the Hall of Fame.
Give it some time.
Yeah.
Well done. You nailed it.
Thank you, Pedro.
All right. Speaking of nailing it, David Bossie, the former deputy campaign manager for Donald Trump and Fox News contributor and friend of the show, is here with us this morning. Good morning and happy Father's Day.
Good morning.
Appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, and happy Father's Day to everybody. Happy Father's Day to my dad this morning.
Yeah.
Love it. Absolutely. Well, this morning, the president waking up at Camp David with his family for Father's Day. But it has been a long and busy week. Described by him in tweets even this morning as a witch hunt, whether it's the new special counsel Bob Mueller, whether it's the deputy Deputy Counsel Rod Rosenstein, others who are now digging in, and there's wonders whether there's conflicts of interest, whether this investigation is moving in the right direction. If you are the president, what are you thinking this morning about how you approach getting rid of this dust cloud so that you can move on to your agenda?
Well, I would stay focused on my agenda if I'm President Trump. For the next several weeks, you must really put yourself in a position to come back into Congress during the summer and have some legislative victories, whether it's getting health care through the Senate, health care repeal and replace through the Senate, whether it's tax reform beginning to get rolling in the House. You just had an infrastructure week about a week or so ago that you're rolling out your infrastructure plans. President Trump is living up to the promises that he made to the American people during the campaign, and that's really going to be his success with the American people, is going to be what they want, what they voted for him, is to bring change to Washington, and that's what he's been doing.
Okay, but David,
as it relates to the investigations, the president is frustrated, and I know he's frustrated and I'm frustrated for him. Look, we've had a longer than 7-month investigation into the ridiculous allegations of collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. Over 7 months, going on a year now of these allegations, and there's been no evidence brought to bear in that case.
Look, to that point, David, there are a lot of people wondering, where on earth are the Republicans? Where is their outrage? One of those people, our own Judge Jeanine, last night.
You want to talk Russia? Let's talk about Russia. Let's talk about the sale of 20% of our uranium to Russia and Hillary Clinton signing off on the deal. The Clinton Foundation, that slush fund for Hillary, receiving $140 million. And Bill Clinton getting more than twice or triple his normal speech fee. You're empowered, damn it. Do something. Pass something. Cut this kumbaya crap. Put on your big boy pants and act like you're in power. Act like you give a damn. And more importantly, convince us that you're not in on the effort to take down the President of the United States.
David, to her point, Republicans are the ones in power right now.
Oh, certainly. And I think you see members of the House and Senate. Look, the president's having members of the House and Senate over to the White House routinely during the day. He is starting to have private dinners with them in the evening. I think doing those types of efforts, conducting those, undermine the president legislatively, and they've done nothing but just inspire the hate in people. You see it on college campuses, whether that's taking down the First Amendment across the country, and that is the violence that they bring. And this guy who shot Steve Scalise, you know, is part of what they created. The left created this person. And so for these guys to sit out there and say things like that in the aftermath is shameful.
It's horrific.
David, in order for them to get their agenda passed, though, to go back to the original subject for the Republicans, they have to get rid of this witch hunt dust cloud. You've been part of the metaphorical war room to try to take this on. Is there a change that needs to happen, either with the special counsel or at DOJ, so that you feel like you get a fair shake so that you can move forward with the agenda? Specifically.
I think your question is does Mueller have a conflict of interest with Jim Comey and this investigation?
Yes.
And I think that's going to really play out, because the statute says, you know, that if you are a friend, it is hard to investigate someone that you have a professional, personal relationship with. And if there's any two people that have a relationship, a personal relationship as friends, it's Jim Comey and Mueller. It is these two people to go back 20 years.
Third round, watch this.
He's aiming his putt here on 5. This is Justin Thomas.
Thomas shooting 9 under par, a score of 33. Despite the historic performance, he's actually not even in first. Thomas heads into today's final round, trailing Brian Harman by just 1 shot. And the action begins at 11 a.m. Eastern this morning on Fox.
How do you make that read? I mean, that was an unbelievable read. It takes such guts in the golf sense to make that read. You're basically hitting it kind of away from the hole. It drops in.
And with
awesome
that much
shot.
pressure on you, too.
I know.
Unreal.
Got to play 4 rounds, 1 more today. We'll see where it goes. All right, Republicans were elected to pass the Trump agenda, so what are they doing?
Welcome back. Happy Father's Day to everyone. Well, last week's attack on Republicans spurring a call for unity for the good of the American people.
But it didn't last very long, as they already admit they're still deeply divided over basic tax reform.
So what will it take to drain the swamp and see some real change? Here to weigh in from the Tea Party Patriots, Jenny Beth Martin. Jenny, thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to go back to the diner segments that we all do. We get down there with real Americans saying what they want to happen. Are we going to see first the unity that we saw last week, and is that going to lead to anything to help the American people?
Well, thanks for having me, and happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. I think that one of the reasons the country has been so divisive, both in Washington, D.C., and then the feeling towards Washington, D.C., is because the people around this country feel that Washington is ignoring their will. For over a decade, they've been saying jobs, jobs, jobs. That's the #1 issue for voters across this country. If Congress really wants to find unity and to calm and ease the tension that's going on in this country, they'll pass tax reform, because it'll grow the economy and Americans will feel better. They'll be able to take better care of themselves and their families and have a better opportunity for the future. And that has an added benefit of helping congressmen get reelected.
Jenny, your movement started as a reaction to the policies of the Obama administration, a long time coming. You've been waiting.
Reach out to them on social media and make sure that they understand and remind them why you who elected them. Look, we cannot wait for Washington, D.C. to lead this country. We've waited far too long for that. The way that we're going to get out of these problems is for the American people to say, okay, we're putting the pressure on Washington, but we want to help them. If they take care of tax reform and they grow the economy, we'll be able to back off a little bit because we're going to experience relief in our own lives. And that will make them feel better in Congress as well.
That's why we are going to continue to go out around the country and actually hear directly from the Muslim people of all the American people. Jenny, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, coming up, Ted Nugent says that he's ready to tone down his rhetoric, and he's hoping his liberal counterparts follow his lead. He is joining us here live. That's next.
Plus, you've heard of Grand Theft Auto, but what about Grand Theft Avocado? Details on a bizarre and brazen heist that could jeopardize your guacamole. Not really.
Pete loves avocado toast.
Guilty, yeah.
Oh, hello. Lucky for me, there's some great golf here in the Carolinas. Whether you golf or not, Geico could help you score some great savings on car insurance. Maybe even hundreds of dollars. Whoa! Oh, hole in one. And that's a par 5, mind.
By the numbers first, 50 years. That is how long a World War II veteran, Joe Novellino, went without 5 medals, which were stolen from his Connecticut home. With the Pentagon reissuing the medals after state lawmakers intervened. I'm glad they did. Next, $43 million. That is the amount of jackpot winnings a New York casino refuses to pay to a woman, saying their machine had some sort of a glitch. Well, that woman now suing for the money, calling it rigged. Finally, $300,000. That's how much money in avocados these 3 men are accused of stealing from their employer. They were nabbed for allegedly selling them for personal profit in their facility to local customers in California. That is the dollar amount of a Grand Theft Avocado incident. It's a lot,
They're very valuable. All right, in the wake of last week's assassination attempt on Republican congressmen, many are now calling for a more civil political tone.
One person who is promising to do so is longtime conservative Ted Nugent. But will anybody on the left follow his lead? Here to discuss is the rock and roll legend Ted Nugent. So, Ted, your comments about wanting to tone down the political rhetoric are welcome by many, but I think it's the source that has people most interested in here. We're going to play a headline of something you said from times past that makes what you're saying now even more interesting. You once said that Obama should, quote, suck on a machine gun. Now he wants to, now the title is he wants to tone down the hateful rhetoric. This is the headline about you. There it is right there. So you once said that, now you want to tone it down. I think that's an important recognition. What brought you to the point where you said, hey, it's just time to calm all this down?
Well, number one, happy Father's Day every damn day across America. And I think the fact that my kids and my wife have consulted me and told me that I'd be more effective if I abandoned the Motor City street slang. But let me make it perfectly clear. I have never projected hate. When I said that about sucking on my machine guns, that was a direct response to the liberal Democrats, Obama and Clinton et al., to ban certain types of firearms, violating their oath to the Constitution and the Second Amendment. That was a metaphor, and nobody's too stupid not to know that, but the left is so dishonest that they misrepresented that. And make it perfectly clear with my Fox and friends, I have never threatened anybody. I have never hinted at violence. During adrenaline-charged rock and roll performances, Detroit street slang comes out. But I have been admonished somewhat by Mrs. Nugent. And I just think in these heightened, exciting times politically, I am reaching out across the aisle. And I'm saying we must all unite to bring no violence, no harm to any of our fellow Americans. And I think it's important to note, my not-so-good friend Bill Maher acknowledged that, and I will be joining him on his show to make sure that we clarify this and that we are going to unite on no violence.
Yeah, you know, a wife and a daughter, they will certainly soften you, if anything else. So kudos to them, because I think that the language has gotten totally out of control, something that you have admitted. Are we going to see a different Ted Nugent moving forward, and who is that Ted Nugent going to be?
Well, you know, not different. I like to use the word upgrade. My intensity will not back down one bit. My passion and my sincerity will not back down one iota. But I am going to make sure that in a debate that I am civil, which I've always been civil. Again, during the outrage of a rock and roll performance, machine gun references have been made, but nobody could possibly think I want anybody's lips anywhere near my machine gun. That was a metaphor. But I'm going to reach out and say civility should be the modus operandi of Americans, no matter which side of the aisle they are on.
Okay, Ted, so do people on both sides of the aisle follow your lead? Does this happen, or is this a pipe dream?
Well, it's not a pipe dream, even though I am a dreamer, no pipe involved. I have not seen any gesture whatsoever from the left. They still are going to, it looks to me, going to burn down buildings if they disagree with your speech. They're still going to turn over cars and attack people if they don't agree with you. And let me also pinpoint, my family and I's lives have been threatened. They've threatened to kill me on Facebook, even though 99.9% of my Facebookers are positive and sincere and logic and truth-oriented. But the violence from the other side is unprecedented.
Well, that's the question.
I'm still waiting for somebody.
Is the left capable? Alinskyeites, who have always sort of trafficked in fomenting this kind of resistance now. I mean, Joy Reid of MSNBC on another channel recently trashing Representative Scalise for mainstream Republican positions while he is recovering from being shot. I mean, what happens? Can the left even do it?
Boy, again, I'm a dreamer and I'm a positive guy. I'm a hopeless optimistic. I haven't seen anything, but I can still hope. And I've reached out on my Facebook. I have tens of millions of Facebookers, and I communicate every day numerous times. And many have identified themselves as liberal Democrats who don't like my hunting and don't like my NRA board of directorship. They don't like a lot of my politics, but they love the music. How can you not love the music? So they've reached out and they've thanked me for my recent gesture to be more civil, and I will keep that vow.
Yeah, well, Ted, it's, I think, something that we all needed to hear right now. So thank you for acknowledging that and for listening to the good women in your life. We appreciate them very much. So, Ted, good to have you with us.
Ted.
Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Happy
Ted.
Father's Day.
Still ahead.
Thank you very much. Godspeed, Fox and friends.
Likewise, sir. Still ahead. President Trump vows to make America great again. We've heard that, of course. And now he is making words great again. This is weird. The new honor for the president next.
Plus, we've got the latest chapter in the love story capturing, I guess, a few hearts somewhere around the world. Not mine. Pamela Anderson and Julian Assange, are they a couple? We'll let you know next.
Ooh, I'm on the edge of my seat.
I know you are.
Trump.
Because it's the easiest one to say.
Well,
and kids love to say it.
You're going to say this?
They hear it every day.
You want to take this?
I don't. I think the rest of this story is fake news.
Okay.
But I think the fact that Trump is the word of the year is true. I mean, every little kid hears it all day long. Trump, 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 Trump.
That's
it's
all
easy
their
to
parents
say.
are talking
but
about.
then there's other usages apparently that people are saying.
You want to do a Cole Reed Huntsman here?
Snozzle Trump. Trumpelstiltskin, Trumpito, Trump winning-tastic?
Yeah, and you may be saying, why is there like a red river under these? Because you know when you type something on your computer, if it's something spelled incorrectly, it gets the line. Well, it got the line.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Really?
Really, are kids saying Trump winning-tastic? I mean, it's accurate, winning-tastic.
Please don't start using that.
Can somebody out there tell us what Snozzle Trump is?
Snozzle Trump.
No. Anybody know what Snozzle Trump is?
No.
No? Nobody out there? All right.
No, because it's fake news. It's just Trump, and kids love to say it.
But no surprise, though, as you say, that is a name and a word that we hear more than any other today.
Yes.
So, anyway, to some other headlines we were following this morning. Nice transition there. All eyes will be on Georgia this Tuesday, as we've been talking about this morning. Republican Karen Handel and Democrat Jon Ossoff battling it out in the state special election to fill the House seat left vacant by Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price. Well, the early voting turnout has been unprecedented, with more than 140,000 people already casting their votes. Democrats have raised a record $23 million for this race, calling it a referendum on President
23
Trump.
million bucks for a candidate who doesn't even live in the district.
Ooh, we'll see how that plays out on Tuesday. And prosecutors are vowing to retry Bill Cosby after a judge declares a mistrial. A Pennsylvania judge failing to reach a verdict in his sexual assault case after 6 days of deliberations. Cosby remains free on a $1 million bond. He is still facing 3 counts of felony sexual assault. And Pete, I know you. Why don't you read this one, Pete?
This is your jam.
Hand it over to me. Another love letter from Pamela Anderson to traitor Julian Assange, the Baywitch star, titling the letter "Why My Heart Stands with Julian." The Baywatch star writes, "Thinking of Julian makes me wonder, what is the sexiest quality in a man? Surely the sexiest qualities in a man are bravery and courage." And Anderson calls on world leaders to petition for WikiLeaks founder's immediate release from the Ecuadorian embassy in London before lashing out at British Prime Minister Theresa May for her handling of the Grenfell fire. She then invites French President Emmanuel Macron to the meeting to discuss Julian's situation.
Didn't that just sound better with Pete reading it?
And Pete's going to start signing that petition immediately once we're off.
She used to be my girl, but now
no
she's,
longer,
when you
Pete,
date
sorry.
the traitor who's a leaker.
Well, one more headline here. Actor Stephen Furst, best known for his role in the classic comedy Animal House, we all know that, sadly has passed away.
What's my Delta Tau Chi name? Dorfman, you've given this a lot of thought. From now on, your name is Flounder. Flounder?
Furst, of course, played Kent Flounder Dorfman in the 1978 film alongside John Belushi. He would star in many more movies and TV shows, including the 80s medical drama Saint Elsewhere. Furst died Friday at his home in California of complications from diabetes. He was 63 years old, and he will be missed. Those are some of your headlines this morning.
Can I ask a question? Dave, why do you have just a random arm in your hand? What's going on here?
We have things that go on in
this is just what?
Rick, this is what this show is about. I mean, what are we doing here?
That's what Dave is about. Let's be honest. We feel bad that you guys don't get to see Dave enough, but Dave is our
He's our man in black.
He's worn black every day for the last 25 years, and he has a pun for everything, and he keeps us entertained. Today, it's Random Arm. Hey, I was asking these guys here what they think about the Julian Assange and Pamela Anderson story, and what did you say?
I don't care.
There you go. It's the best answer. I think your quote was, "I don't care about stuff like that," which is perfect. All right, let's talk a little bit weather right now. Take a look at the map, show you what's going on. Here's your temps as you're waking up. It is warm and humid all across the eastern part of the country. The western part of the country, just warm. In fact, very hot today. It's going to remain this way for the next number of days. Tuesday probably peaking in Arizona. We'll see some temperatures maybe approaching 125. So the heat is on. Down across parts of the Caribbean, hurricane season started at the beginning of June, and we have some activity going on here. An 80% chance that we're going to see a storm develop here somewhere in the Gulf over the next couple of days. Certainly will bring a lot of moisture in across parts of Florida, maybe the Central Gulf. And today, some severe weather with that line of storms you see cutting across the Ohio Valley and Mississippi Valley. All right, guys. Back to you.
All right, Rick, thank you so much.
Rick, thank you very much. All right, in the wake of the Alexandria shooting, our next guest is taking action, introducing a bill allowing any House member to use their concealed carry permit on Capitol Hill. Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie joins us live next.
Then he is a former NFL star and father of 5. Now he's got a game plan for dads around the country. Benjamin Watson joins us next. Plus, Congressman Duncan Hunter and Maria Bartiromo. We've got a big hour and a half still to go. Stick with us.
Scalise was at the field that day. You know, if he had left early, the security detail would have left with him. And just one quick thing, if I may. My bill would extend the reciprocity, in fact, the honoring of your concealed carry permit from your home state, not just to congressmen, but also to their staff and anybody that works or visits in Washington, D.C. So I'm not looking for special privileges for congressmen, as some have called for. I'm just looking to extend your Second Amendment rights into the state, or into the city of Washington, D.C.
Yeah, well, we know the political rhetoric has been out of control lately. I mean, it's almost every week we see another town hall being interrupted by these protesters and violence. Give us a sense of what it's like to be a congressman today. Do you feel at times like it is an unsettling job to have?
Oh, the animosity has increased tremendously. If you just look at the comments on my social media page compared to before the presidential election and after the presidential election, you know, just the tenor and the tone has changed, I think, much for the worse. And so I think it's dangerous, the level of rhetoric out there. But this bill is a common sense solution. If I could point out, 2/3 of the states already recognize other states' concealed carry permits. And so it was their state legislatures that decided to do that. Well, Washington, D.C.'s legislature is Congress. That's the way the Constitution is set up. So it's really up to us to decide these types of laws for Washington, D.C. A lot of people don't realize that. And with Republicans in the majority and a Republican in the White House, I think now is the time for Washington, D.C. for us to pass a law there that would recognize concealed carry permits from all of the states.
Do you think the rhetoric will change? Do you think the shooting was a wake-up call that will actually last in terms of how people act and how they speak?
I think it should be a wake-up call, and hopefully it's a wake-up call to my colleagues, too. You know, when you go out in front of cameras and say Republicans are going to cause children to starve or old people to die, that is very dangerous because people take that literally, and it's hyperbole, it's rhetoric. I think it needs to stop. I hope it stops, and I hope we get back to, you know, common discourse, civil discourse.
I think we are all hoping for that. Congressman Thomas Massie, good to have you with us this morning. Thank you so much. And happy Father's Day to you. All right, coming up.
Happy Father's Day.
To all the fathers out there.